Let's talk about this winter storm that, Kristen, you are tracking. It's kind of like a double whammy. You're expecting to see snow and wind.
Right, and so that's why we have all these winter storm warnings in place, and mainly because we're going to see a significant amount of snow, but the winds are going to be blowing that snow around so much this afternoon and tonight that visibilities are going to be really, really bad, and it's going to be very dangerous travel conditions across western and northern New Mexico. And the wind is going to be what affects just about all of us today, and that's going to be the biggest impact, I think, for today. So we'll talk about that. High wind watches in effect. Those are the locations in orange here, down across south central New Mexico, the Sacramento Mountains included in that, Ruidoso. You're going to see some big time winds today. We could see those gusts up near 60, 65 miles an hour in yellow. Wind advisories won't see quite the wind that we'll see down to the south and farther south of you, but we could see those winds gusting to 50 miles an hour and sustained at times between 35 and 45 miles an hour. Albuquerque now under a high wind watch, but we are going to see those winds really picking up as we go through the day. Right now the wind's not too bad. It's going to be, once we get into the afternoon, they're going to pick up. Dangerous winds will move in this evening and overnight tonight. As for the snow, we're tracking it already in the Jemez Mountains, the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, but a lot more of that back to the west as the storm system gets a little closer to us. We'll track that for you. I'll have your full forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Kristen, thank you. We'll check back with her later through the morning. Something else that has moved into the state is high gas prices.
In fact, they have jumped 40 cents in just the last month, and they are getting more expensive every single day. News 13's David Romero is live up in Santa Fe with more. Good morning, Mr. Romero.
Good morning, Matt. Well, it's a cold morning here in Santa Fe, and of course, anybody that's going to be filling up this morning might get a little surprised at the pump that they've been seeing over the last month or so. Now, they are going up again, and of course, we're not even to the summer driving season yet, let alone Memorial Day, and that's typically when we see the spike in prices. But in the last month, some have seen the spike in prices go up about 50 cents, and of course, that's brought the national average to about $3.75 a gallon. Now, according to the AAA daily fuel gauge report, they are saying that the price for a gallon of regular gas in Albuquerque is about $3.30 a gallon. That's up 44 cents from what it was last month, but only 11 cents up from what it was this time last year. Meanwhile, here in the capital city, they are seeing a 40-cent spike in the last month since January, and of course that's only 7 cents more than they were paying at the pump here back in 2012. Still, we want to mention that some experts estimate that we won't see the big outrageous spike in prices that we saw back in 2008. Still, they also cite the change for these drastic spikes that we're seeing at the pump right now due to the changeover from the winter fuel blend to the summer fuel blend. Matt, back to you.
All right, thank you very much, David. It's good information, though we never really like to hear all that. And if you want to find out where the cheapest gas is in your area, head to our website at krqe.com. Click on our gas tracker. And don't be surprised if you see cops with their radar guns out on two busy one-way streets in Albuquerque soon.
Apparently, too many drivers are going too fast on lead and coal, and it is costing you thousands of dollars. This particular problem is on Coal, right by University. Take a look. Drivers are just speeding on through the curb there, hitting the curb and the barriers and even a light pole. And it is all costing all of us.
With labor, we're going to say somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000. It never was meant to be a speedway. That's why we reduced the lanes from 3 to 2.
So the speed limit on coal and lead is 30 miles per hour. Yesterday, we had a news crew out there with a radar gun and found that a lot of people were driving a lot faster than that. Santa Fe police are looking for one of the drivers that was in a bad wreck. The crash happened yesterday afternoon. It was a 3-car crash on Airport Road just west of Cerrillos. 4 people were taken to the hospital, some with serious injuries. Police say the driver of a silver Acura ran from the scene. He was seen hopping fences as he fled. It is not clear why he ran. Investigators are still trying to figure out who caused the crash and whether alcohol or drugs were involved.
Trouble could be on the way for 4 police supervisors in Albuquerque, and it's all connected to one former co-worker getting arrested recently. That is Sergeant Pat Fickey. He recently resigned after being charged with child abuse and battery, and that's after police say he got into a fight with his wife a week and a half ago. His wife told investigators she had dropped Fickey off here at the Marble Brewery earlier that day and that he was drinking with friends. Now the police department's doing an internal investigation to see if those friends include SWAT Sergeant Alexander Katsis, Commander Joe Chrisman, Lieutenant Troy Luna, and Sergeant Daniel Campbell. The department's also looking into whether they were drinking and driving, using their police cars, or on call at the time. A police officer who admits exchanging sexually explicit text messages with a 17-year-old girl in one city here in New Mexico is now an officer in another city. Daniel Gonzalez is now an officer for Portales Police. He's the same guy who was an officer in Lovington last year when he pulled over a girl, and she says he asked for her phone number and a hug. A few days later, he stopped her again and started texting her. The Law Enforcement Academy Review Board suspended his license for 6 months. He has it back now and again is working for Portales Police.
The FBI is still looking for the guy they say robbed a Bernalillo bank and didn't bother to hide his face. According to the feds, this man handed a note to the teller at the Wells Fargo and made off with some money. The thief is described as a Native American with dark neck tattoos, wearing a blue pullover and dark jeans.
Well, a manhunt still going on for a guy who broke out of jail here in New Mexico this weekend. Take a look. Police say this man, Jesse Armando Tapia, broke out of the jail in Jao on Sunday. They even tased him, but he took out the prongs and just kept running. Tapia is wanted for violating his parole in California, and police say he could very well be armed and dangerous. Well, investigators have arrested the man they say dragged and killed a Good Samaritan earlier this year. Chris Andrade, right here, is now charged with murder. Sheriff's deputies say Anthony Cabrera picked him up from a store in El Cerro Mission in January. Investigators say Andrade told Cabrera there was something wrong with his truck, and when Cabrera got out, Andrade took off with it, dragging Cabrera down the road. He later died, and now his family has just a little bit of peace.
We had been praying that he would get apprehended and, and hopefully understand what's happened.
Well, once again, Chris Andrade here is now charged with murder.